Very pleased to be joined by Adam Hadwin in advance of the 120th U.S. Open. And heading into this tournament, Adam, the golf course is getting as much ink as the players. People expecting this to be at par or par to win it. How difficult does Winged Foot look?
Probably about as difficult as everybody's trying to make it out to be. Absolutely. It's just the way it's set up, it's just a difficult golf course. And it hasn't really even firmed up yet. I think that's the scary part. I think the way it's played, at least these last 2 days, I think scores could be reasonable. And I put that in quotations. It's your typical U.S. Open golf course, long, bunch of par fours over 480, tricky greens. The only thing I think keeping it, like I said, reasonable right now is slightly softer conditions. Fairways aren't quite bounding just yet. And so 20 to 25 yard wide fairways play a little bit wider than they could. As if it continues to firm up, then, they'll play a lot more narrow. And then same thing with the greens. If you do hit it in the rough and you have, 120, 130 yards, you don't have to play for this big 10 to 20 yard release and run. You can sort of fly it on and stop it. So we'll see how the conditions change throughout the week. But even with that, I think even par is your golden ticket to having a good week here.
Like smash and gouge, or what some guys try to do in different golf tournaments. Would that work here? Bomb it as far as you can, even if you hit in the rough? Is that a bad strategy now?
You never can count out distance and the advantage that it gives you. I would say no. It's not typically the setup that you would want to just play from the rough. Now, if you're going to hit, if you're going to hit 50% of your fairways and the shorter guy's only hitting 60%, then yeah, you probably still have a bit of a leg up, because at least you're going to be able to get to the green on those fairways that you miss. The shorter guy won't. So long hitters are always going to have an advantage, but it's certainly a week. You need to put the ball in the fairway. That's number one. That's going to give you your best chance to hit as many greens as possible and hopefully make a few putts.
What would your club 5 handicap shoot from the tips at Winged Foot?
Oh, that's a good question. I had a buddy text me, guys I play with a lot, and I told him, they play to like 2-3 handicaps, and I would say, number one, I don't think many people travel to different golf courses well either. So, a 2-3 handicap, in my opinion, usually becomes a 5 or 6 at a different course anyways. But I would say a great round for an average 5 would probably be 90. I would think. You're probably looking at, for us, an average score this week of, a decent score, probably, an average score, say 73, 74. We're probably beating them on an easier golf course by at least 7 or 8 shots around, if not more. So now you're looking at 82, 83, and then give the difficulty of the golf course, the rough. I think the rough's probably the biggest thing, right? At least we understand how to hit out of it and get back to the fairway and stuff, but they just never see rough this long. And so it takes them a few extra to get out.
All right. You have a good grouping, Conners and Hughes, the all-Canadian group. Does that make it easier? Is that a more comfortable pairing when you get guys,
I certainly think it's going to be a very comfortable pairing this week. We just got finished playing a practice round today all together as well. And I think it, especially on a golf course like this and sort of a mental test that the U.S. Open brings, I think having some familiarity with the guys you're playing with, and I'm not sure how much kind of talking, I guess, they'll be back and forth, or hockey talk or anything like that. I think it's one of those weeks where mentally you've got to be so focused and into what's going on that I'm not sure there'll be a lot of stories back and forth. But with that said, I mean, we've played so much golf together that, yeah, I mean, we know how each other kind of operates. We don't have to worry about any of that. We can kind of stay out each other's way, and at the same time, kind of cheer each other on, and you know, hopefully get on a roll together. Obviously, we want to, you know, we want to finish as the top Canadian, but at the same time, I think we all want to see the others do well, and so that'd be a bit of a different dynamic in the same group. There probably will be a little bit of each one of us trying to beat the other person. So that might help us.
Is there internal competition? I see Mackenzie Hughes passed in the world golf rankings. So do you have that Canadian competition anyway?
I mean, I certainly would think there's got to be a little bit. Yeah. I know deep down that, you know, it's not our highest, I guess, priority on our goal list to be top Canadian, right? I mean, obviously we're all shooting to get into the top 50, the top 30, the top 10 in the world, and win tournaments and all that. But you know, at the same time, I think, yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a bit of a point of pride there that, you know, when Mackenzie kind of went on this run and played well and jumped ahead of me there in the world rankings and FedEx and all that, you know, he internally probably enjoyed that a little bit. And internally, I didn't enjoy that a little bit. So, you know, I had a nice little run there for a year and a half, and whatever it was. And yeah, I mean, obviously just motivated to play well, but certainly get back to top Canadian. And it's a great group to be a part of, though. And the talent level and golf that's being played is getting better and better, and exciting group to be a part of.
You, aside from the Canadians, who are your favorite guys to play practice rounds with on a week-to-week basis?
I can't even remember anybody that I've played a practice round with besides the Canadians this last little bit. We have really banded together, especially at the sort of, since there's been big events these last little bit. You know, we had a WGC where all four of us were there, and we played together there. Same thing in the PGA, and then into the playoffs as well. We've kind of enjoyed a little Tuesday game with each other, kind of battling it out. So we've had a lot of West Coast versus East Coast battles with Nick, and other than that, yeah, I just kind of, I mean, I went out by myself on Monday and played 9 holes. So I don't often play golf in practice rounds, but I've started to a little bit more with those guys.
What's the most you've scraped off them, money-wise?
I unfortunately have lost every single time. So I have been.
What's the most they've taken off you then?
Not much. Nick and I were down, I think, a 250 in Chicago, and we kind of came back on the back 9 and played a little bit better and got most of that back. I think I might have lost 100, maybe 150 in one go, but yeah, we're not playing for Phil Mickelson money here or anything. This is definitely more a point of pride than hurt the wallet type situation.
We know who you like to play with. You don't have to name names. Do you ever look at the tee sheet sometimes and go, oh, no, whether it be someone you don't like or pace of play or?
Yes. The answer is yes. Yes, there are. And there's not many guys. There really aren't. Most guys are pretty good. Most of it comes down to pace of play. You get paired with a slow guy. I can look at the tee sheet and I can tell you whether I'll be on the clock that day or not. And you know it. You know it. And as much as you think, you're like, okay, well, the round's going well, and eventually at some point you're going to get behind. The other one is there's a few guys that like to complain and talk and that kind of stuff. That gets a little annoying during the round. You know, when you do play with a complainer, you start to think like, am I actually the complainer? And then so you kind of, you know, you got to clear it up yourself and do a little bit better. But yeah, there are a few. I won't name names.
Okay, a couple more to get you out on. Aside from your 59, the best round that you've witnessed live?
You know what? You fed me the questions beforehand, and I've had an hour to think about it, and I'm still struggling to come up with something. I mean, I had to text my caddy, Joe, to see if he had any rounds in mind. And I was going to go with my 59, but he said I couldn't. But he brought up Patrick Reed from a couple years ago. We played with him and Charlie Hoffman the first 2 rounds of the Masters, and I think Charlie was leading and Patrick and I were a shot back, or Patrick was leading and Charlie and I were a shot back after the first round. But I fell off. Patrick went on, and he put on a pretty impressive display of ball striking. Probably could have been lower, but just, you know, just one of those rounds where he kind of hit every shot that you needed to. He never really got in trouble. If he did, he got up and down, or just, you know, ball flights both directions, and it just looked pretty crisp. That was one of the few that came to mind. The other one that came to mind was, I didn't witness it, but Snedeker's 69 at Torrey Pines 2-3 years ago now, when he ended up winning. I played that Sunday in those conditions, and that was ridiculous. I mean, I think he beat the field average by 7 or 8 that day, only shooting 69, which goes to tell you something. I mean, it was raining and 30 mile an hour winds out at Torrey. So, but yeah, unfortunately, my memory is not that great.
I think Ken Duke had one at the U.S. Open like that too, where he beat the field by average by 8 or something like that. Something silly. Finally, how many Canucks playoff games did you get to watch? Because I know that the time difference was tough. They were starting, you know, at 9 o'clock in Alberta.
Man, those were tough when we moved out to the East Coast. I watched a lot of it though, even if it was, you know, first period, 2 periods, or something like that. I would say at least I caught the early stuff too, when they first restarted back, Minnesota and St. Louis, and it was fun to watch. It was some good hockey, wasn't it? It was exciting, and to come back against Vegas like that and push to 7. I feel like I jinxed them a little bit. I actually watched all of Game 7 when I was in Wichita, and the trouble was Game 5 and 6, because of the time change. I only watched the first 2 periods, and then woke up to a victory. And then, of course, Game 7, tied going into the third. I'm like, I can't leave now. And it was me. It was a jinx. I'm sorry. But it's just exciting stuff. It's good to see. I think hockey's back on track in Vancouver again, and the future's bright.
Well, thanks so much for your time. We wish you the best of luck at the U.S. Open. Stay safe, and we'll chat soon.
Will do. Thanks, Dan.